Welcome to a tutorial on using OpenSHMEM with CentOS 6.3 64-bit. I'm going to assume you have a fresh installation of CentOS, and we're interested in installing OpenSHMEM, so that requires gasnet. So to get started, I'm going to install a few packages, including perl, gcc, the C++ compiler, openmpi, and make. So we I'm going to say yes, download some 50 megabytes of updates. I previously ran sudo yum update and upgrade, and so all the packages were current. In the meantime, we'll go look at our next command, which is going to be loading the MPI module. In CentOS, the openmp versus mpi-ch have to be decided upon, and that's done with the modules. Alright, so now we've got all of those installed, and we're going to use module load openmpi. The reason that I'm putting this into the bashrc file is so that it's executed every time I open a new shell. I'm going to load that currently into this current shell. Alright, so now I can test and verify I have mpi-cc, and it redirects to the standard serial compiler complaint, and also mpi run. So now that those are available, I'm going to be in the home directory, and I'm going to grab gasnet. And with that, then we're going to extract it, and then we'll go into that directory. And now we're going to run configure. So this is looking for all the necessary components before we run make. Our next command will be make all. Alright, and now it's reporting that these various components are found or not found. And then our next command will be sudo make install. So that took a little bit of time, and now we're going to run the sudo make install. Now, once that's finished, where we've got gasnet available to the system, I'm going to change back into my home directory and install OpenSHMEM. This takes a few additional packages, elfutils. Once we get that, we're going to download the current release of OpenSHMEM, which is version 1.0D as in Delta. So within this, there's the configure script, and we're going to tell it where gasnet is, and we're also going to tell it to use the MPI framework. The other option is SMP, since it's available. But so if I ran it with MPI here, you see it's going to use conduit MPI for gasnet. Whereas if I had to run it with SMP, then the conduit switches here. So I'm just going to keep MPI, and then make and make install. Sudo make install. And now we've got the OpenSHMEM compiler available, and in the examples directory there's a couple versions. You can look at C or Fortran. We'll go into Fortran, and there's a make file here associated with this directory, and so we're going to make all the source code here with oshfort, and then that gets you the binaries. So now you can run these binaries as standalone programs and then just execute them in serial. And then if you wanted, you could run them as compiled programs with multiple CPUs. So we're going to use oshrun np. This should feel familiar if you're familiar with MPI. Hello.x. So now you've executed it on two processes. We'll take a quick look at what the hello content looks like. So including the shmem library, and then the number of processing elements is declared into npees, and then which processing element I am is the variable me, and then the host name is just an external function call, and that's where it's printed out. So it should look relatively familiar to MPI users. We can go back and do the same thing for C. There we have make, and it seems to have not been too happy, but we can try running this address accessible. So that concludes our tutorial on using OpenSHMEM on CentOS.